Viveka Prakaranam. It is a beautiful chapter. We are aware of Swamiji's busy schedule. Still, out of compassion, Swamiji made time to conduct these classes for us. We must be aware that we are blessed to receive these divine teachings from a great Acharya like Swamiji. It is our duty to attend these classes regularly. I have posted a detailed message in the Arate study group. I request everyone to go through it. On behalf of all of us, I humbly request Swamiji to continue to take us through these classes. Next chapter is Mahavakya Viveka Prakaranam. It's also a very beautiful chapter. Now, Anjali Nambishan will give the summary of the last class. Hari Om.
Pranamam Swamiji, Namaste everybody. In our last class, Swamiji reminded us that chapter 4 began with the Jiva Srishti and Ishvara Srishti. Vidyaranya Mahaswamiji concludes the chapter with realization and the conduct of a realized person. Shloka 58 tells us that detachment from desires by dosha drishti is by seeing faults in objects of desire. Many reject spirituality, thinking, I cannot give up passions and so I am not spiritual. A counter-argument arises that if Atma is everywhere and nothing is separate from Atma, then desires need not be renounced. Sloka 59 says that Kama, Krodha, etc., let them be renounced. The harmless fantasies or manorajyam disturbs no one. So let the harmless fantasies be there. In Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan himself says, such mental action, thoughts, and desires are the cause and seed of all problems. These fantasies will have a certain impact. Slowly, the desires connected to those fantasies will come up. Then these desires get energy from our brain and that moves into action. Shloka 60 points out that if you have imagined something, the impact and reflection of that imagination stays. The attachment to that object develops. This is sangasteshu upajayate. When the situation arises, it gets a form and we begin to like it. This is how the brain works. Then liking becomes attachment and the object imagined many times returns with greater connection.
Sending a quick voice note and just leave that Gita book out, when I come on.
Swamiji gives the example of TV advertisements. Initially, you are uninterested, but frequent exposure creates a connection. The brain remembers the brand. Next, you buy it in the market. If desire is obstructed, frustration and anger appear. When others create obstruction for your desire, then anger erupts. This creates a strong reaction in you. And so with that tendency, anger gets stronger. What follows is explained in Shloka 61. From anger comes delusion because the discriminative mind, Viveki mind, stops. At that time, there is no place for Vedanta, Bhakti, or compassion. Next, you lose memory and superimpose wrong ideas. Here, Viveka is completely lost and there is no clarity. This loss of discrimination is the death. It destroys you, your relationships, and everything. A detailed answer to the question is what is wrong with harmless imagination can be got in Bhagavad Gita chapter 2 when we study it with Shankara Bhashyam. When we see a flower or pass by an ice cream parlor the second time, detachment weakens. Bhagwan's teaching is scientifically and psychologically true. We should not desire unnecessary things. We should not read or see unnecessary media. Once connected, the impact develops in you, and then all knowledge is thrown away. Shloka 62 gives us the remedy and elaborates on how we move to Nirvikalpa Samadhi from Savikalpa. Overcome all thought processes and deeply meditate on your own existence. It is the objectless meditation. We can call it Brahma without qualifications or Shuddha Brahma. One should meditate on that. Nirvikalpa Samadhi does not come directly. One should gradually develop this. This can be practiced. Through Savikalpa Samadhi, you can have control over the world of Manorajyam, the mind which does not stop thinking. By this practice, it is possible, and we know how to practice this meditation. We reach objectless meditation. Shloka 63 discusses the method of pranava japa in solitude. We can conquer habitual thinking by this sadhana. First, understand intellectually, study Panchadashi, Jiva Srishti, Ishvara Srishti. Secondly, remove intellect's defects. The mind should become pure. Then we can sit and meditate for hours and contemplate Brahman. Third, work towards solitude, ekantavasina. Choose solitude with no disturbance. Changing the place changes the mind. Practice prolonged Omkara Japa. Om directly connects the mind with prana. In Shloka 64, Acharya quotes from Yoga Vasishtha. When the mind is controlled, it becomes silent and actionless. Gradually, it stops thinking. This practice is taught by Vasishtha to Rama. Yoga Vasishtha is high-level Vedanta. Shloka 65 elaborates on how to eliminate object consciousness. Mind chases objects because it thinks they are real. Once we teach the mind that there is no object, the objectivity consciousness stops. Subjective consciousness brings about realization. We cannot prove that an object exists. Know this, stop activity, and the problem is solved. If we do this, stop the mind, then we get to the supreme blissful state. That is nirvana, meaning no suffering, disturbance, or pain. That experience is discussed in Yoga Vasishtha. It is an important text of Advaita Vedanta. Ishvara's creation is universal and there is no externality. Creator himself is created as a universe, and the phenomenal world is Ishvara's form. The ultimate cause is Satchidananda Brahma. When you see the whole body as one, you identify with the body. Then you do not think that this part of the body is the subject and that this part of the body is the object. Similarly, if Satchidananda Brahma is all-pervading, then how can the consciousness be subject-object? Expand your body to be the entire universe. It becomes a complete body of the universe, Vishwarupa. Then all those parts are all part of your body. When there is identification of Purnatvam, there cannot be subject-object relation and there cannot be parts. This is the experience of an enlightened person. This is Vedantic enlightenment. There is no separation. All one has to do is receive it, believe it, and experience it. Hari Om.
विस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणानिधिं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krito Vante Bhagavanto Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sri Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Namaste Shankarananda Guru Padambujanmane Savilasa Mahamoha Grahagraseika Karmane Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Om Namo Narayanaya. So the last part of fourth chapter, we have all the 5 Viveka Prakaranas. So this is Dvaita Viveka Prakarana. So in this, we have discussed mainly Jiva Srishti and Ishvara Srishti. And now the conclusion of this chapter with the direct experience of Atma Jnana by a sadhaka who have all the practices who continued with that. And now the experience he gets is Atma itself. So that is going to discuss. So in this 65, sloka number 65, the Vidyaranya Muniji mentions the practice of Sravana, Manana and other things, what we have already discussed. So, Vicharitam alam shastram. So the shloka is Vicharitam alam shastram chiramudgrahitam mithaha samtyaktavasanan mauna trite nastyuttamam padam. Vicharitam alam shastram chiramudgrahitam mithaha. So what has studied, the study is completed now. The vicharitam alam shastram, the sufficient of study, enough of study. Chiram udgrahitam mithaha, interaction with the master, guru and other fellow students, that is also done. The chiram udgrahitam. So first we listen to the lectures, listen to the shastras, then what has been grasped, we discuss on that. That is called chiram udgrahitam. By asking questions and clarifying from their masters. So interaction, direct interaction with the masters. The chiram udgrahitam mitha. Then samtyakta vasanad maunad. Now he is convinced with what he has studied, but that is completed now. So therefore, samtakta vasanas. He could renounce all vasanas from his mind. So he is able to calm his mind in its deepest level. Because once the Sravana is completed, Manana is completed, the mind will take the path of calmness. It means it doesn't stop working. It may continue to work, but in with that calmness and the steadiness of mind. So this is samtakta vasana. So there is no disturbance in mind. So whenever he wants to stop the mind and sit for contemplation, it's quite possible, easily possible for him. So that is the situation, because why mind goes all around and catches unnecessary things? Because it is unable to uh, remove those things that mind could not do that. It doesn't understand what is right, what is wrong. In many cases, with our tendencies, we unnecessarily takes those objects which are not actually necessary. All unnecessary, unwanted things. Because of our vasana, our tendencies leads there. Sometimes food habits, other habits of talking and whatever those habits, they are because of vasanas. If we control those vasanas, we know that only a few things we need for our daily life and maintain the life, lead the life. So there are only few things we need. Other than those, all are just vasanas. They are unnecessarily uh, roaming around and that disturbing you. So this is how his samtakta vasana is naturally happens to him because of his conviction and thorough understanding of the subject. He understands the mind, he understands the Atma, he understands the world outside. So it is very clear to him what should be done. So in that case, samtakta vasana. Maunadrite nasti uttamam patam. So he says this is the highest state where maunadrite, the quietude of mind, the calmness of mind. So maunadrite nasti uttamam padam. If one could maintain this, that is his highest state. That is his experience in with that. So Mauna, we know it's normally Mauna is silence, but here in this stage, Mauna is complete calmness of the mind, the deep calmness. So there is no unnecessary activity in the mind. It's not like samadhi, thoughtlessness, but this is the deep quietude, deep calmness, stability of the mind. So he achieves that and he could stay in that. Once the sufficient sadhana is practiced and sufficient manana is practiced, then this can be achieved. Whenever you want to stop your thoughts and sit quietly, it's possible. So that is the idea conveyed here. This is also actually from Yoga Vasishtha. Vikshipyate kadajidhi karmana bhogadayina पुनः समाहिता सा स्यात् तदैव अभ्यासपाठवात्. Now, if at all he could sit in this stage, but he needs to do some necessary things, like he needs some food. So when he think about food, when he is hungry and think about food, that mind goes out and think about food. That's there. And some other activities, whatever activities we need to maintain for our body. So vikshipyate kadachiddhi. Sometimes with those actions, kadachit, sometimes with those actions, the mind may get disturbed with that. Karmana bhogadayina. So then punaha samahida sasyat tadeva abhyasa patava. But after the action is completed, because as I said, if he wants to work, he wants to think about something which is necessary, it's possible he will think about that, and then when the action is completed, he will withdraw from there. So kuryad vidwan tatasaktaha chikirshur loka sangraham. In Srimad Bhagavad Gita also Bhagavan says the same. Because he will not be disturbed like others get disturbed with the actions. His actions seems to be it's like the direct actions without disturbance. So punaha samahita sasyat. So again, he is able to bring back the mind, and tadaiva abhyasa padada, because he has practiced this for a long time. So gradually he practiced it, so that practice gives the strength that he can bring the mind whenever it goes out. So this is an important point in this stage of sadhana. We have listened to Vedantic lectures. We know everything about Vedanta now. What is body and how body works, how prana works, how mind works, and what this body mind can give us for our sadhana, and how can we control those activities. So we know all this, and the reality as Brahman. What is the experience of Brahman? The Swarupa Lakshanam of Brahman, Sachidananda. So now we know the all aspects of practice sadhana in this level. So that is why that is how he could take it back whenever mind goes out. Yado yado nischarati manas chanchalamasstiram tadastado niyamyedad atmanneva vasham nayet. So in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, 6th chapter also says, Bhagavan says this. So whenever mind goes out for some activity, some necessary activity, you can bring it back after completing that action. So this practice will continue. Lifelong it will continue. So he wants to sit for hours in that calmness, Mauna Dride. So that is also possible. If he wants to take up some action, some activities, that's also possible. It will not disturb him because there is no, what you say, the desire or uh, the no connection with those desires. He has no personal desires. He only wants to maintain the body with the prarabdha karma, so that he will do. So this is the stage of Jivanmukta, about whom Arjuna asked in second chapter, last part of second chapter. Siddha prajnasya ka bhasha samadhistasya keshava. Because Arjuna wants to know how a Siddha prajna who has realized can maintain his body and his actions. So there we can see Sri Bhagavan elaborately discussing this point. So if you want to know more about this, you can read that part of Bhagavad Gita. So that is the same point we are discussing here. Vikshebo yasya nastyasya brahmavitvam na manyate brahmaivayamiti prahurmunaya paradarshinaha. Vikshepo yasya nastyasya brahmavitvam na manyate. He says, this person, this Jivanmukta, he is not a knower of Brahman. We don't call him as he knows Brahman, therefore he is enlightened. The knower of Brahman means Brahma is an object, he knows about it. Like we read about something, we know about it. But here is not. He is not Brahma, Brahmavitvam. But he is Brahmaiva ayamiti, prahuhu munayaha. He Brahma himself. Because the Veda says, Brahmavid, Brahmaiva bhavati. Brahmavid, Brahmaiva bhavati. Vimuktascha vimuchyate. This is the highest stage, where if you know Brahman, you become Brahman. So the knowing itself is the fruit. Knowing itself is the experience. So there is no gap, there is no other sadhana needed after knowing it. But that knowledge is aparoksha jnanam, direct knowledge of Brahman. So vikshepo yasya nasti. So his mind now has, that mind has no distraction. So no distraction in that mind, no disturbance in his mind. So that person is not just a knower of Brahman, but he is Brahman himself. Now this is the difference between the other school of philosophy and this Vedantic school of philosophy, Advaita Vedantic school of philosophy. The other school of philosophy, they never say if you know God, you become God. They cannot say. They say you know God, then you can serve God, you can get the blessings of God, still the God will be different from you. You cannot become God. But here it is different. Here there is no servant relation with God. There is no servant and served relation with God. You know God, you know Brahman, means you become Brahman. So here, instead of God, we say directly as Brahman. So technically there is difference between Ishvara and Brahman. So if you are in that Satchidananda, how can you say I am servant of Satchidananda? How can one say I serve my assistants? There is no relation as a servant. So you know yourself, mean you are yourself. You are that existence, that consciousness. So there is no serving relation in this condition. Therefore, if I know God, yes, of course, I serve God, I pray to God, I try to get uh, His blessings. Those things will be there. Here he is not denying God or denying any existence, because he himself becomes Sat now. He himself becomes existence because he knows it. So therefore, I cannot serve my own existence. I cannot serve my own consciousness. So this is the difference. So vikshepo yasya nasti asya brahmavitvam na manyate. Brahmavitvam na manyate. Shruti doesn't say he is a Brahmavit. He is a knower of Brahman. He is not knower of Brahman, but Brahman itself. He is Brahman itself. Brahmaiva ayam. Idi prahu munaya paradarshinaha. Paradarshina, the sages, well versed in scriptures, they have declared it. It's their declaration that the knower of Brahman become Brahman itself. Only in this case it can happen. If you know some object, you won't be identified with that object. So if you know a book, you won't be a book. So you are not identified with the book. So there is a knower and known relation, subject and object relation. But in the case of Brahma Jnanam, there is no subject and object relation. We have discussed it before. You are in the first chapter, second chapter, all the three chapters in different places. And even in this chapter, the first part, we have discussed this. So this knower and knowing, known, this relation of subject-object is not there at all. You are there with your existence, you are there with your consciousness, you are there with your own happiness, your own bliss, which cannot be separated from you with in any other means. It cannot be separated. So therefore, there is no question of relations or connection with the Brahman. So Brahman is all-pervading, so you are with that. The next shloka says, Darshana darshane hitva swayam kevala rupataha yastishtadis sadhu brahman brahmana brahmavid swayam. Again, Vidyaranya Mahaswamiji repeats that, quoting from Muktika Upanishad and Yoga Vasishta and other textbooks of Vedanta. Darshana darshane hitva swayam kevala rupataha. So swayam kevala rupataha. Now, as I said, there is no object and object consciousness. What I mean by object consciousness is the knowing the object and enjoying it. So this is an object, I know it. So this knowing is called object consciousness. In that knowledge, object is the subject. So object consciousness. So object consciousness and personality consciousness, what we call as I know. I am the knower. I am the knower, I know. So the I consciousness, object consciousness, then personality consciousness, and body consciousness. Body consciousness is normal. So all these consciousness become consciousness itself. Now what you know, it's also because of consciousness. And what you don't know, that's also in consciousness. And the experience you have or you had is also consciousness. So there is no separation. Swayam kevala rupataha. The kevala rupa, the ultimate aloneness of universality. Because this object consciousness, personality consciousness, bodily consciousness, all these different knowledges separate from, no, we always separate ourselves from this. But now here, those consciousness become one because there is no point of separation. There is no reason why we should separate. The sunlight is everywhere. Sunlight is spread over the universe, like no, in one side of earth, I can say, and sunlight is there in the atmosphere, in outer sky. Sunlight is there. So that's in that sunlight, two objects, two different personalities meet, they talk each other, do everything. But both the person, both are in that sunlight because both they are having the light, and within that sunlight they are talking each other. So they have all their vyavhara in that sunlight. So in that sunlight, other trees and other creatures, other animals, they are all there in the same sunlight. Now, if you see the first person, second person, if you see the personality as one and two personalities, they are different. But both those two personalities are there in sunlight. So the sunlight is illuminating both. Similarly, the consciousness is everywhere. It is consciousness is giving the knowledge, or consciousness become object. Consciousness become personality, and consciousness become thoughts. Consciousness become intellect. Consciousness become body and bodily consciousness. So if you see from that point, all these parts of the body are there in the same consciousness as the same awareness. So therefore, that oneness, the oneness of universality alone remains in him. Swayam kevala rupataha. So he is giving, he is knowing us consciousness as one reality. So that is called Kevala Rupataha, the aloneness of that consciousness. Therefore, Darshana Adarshane Hitva. So Hitva Darshana Adarshane. So having brushed aside all the darshanas, knowledge, and adarshanas, or what is not known. So what is known and what is not known. Adarshana, adarshane. So neither he wants to see something, know something, nor does he wants to not see something. So darshana and adarshana. So we can say two ways. I want to see something, or I don't want to see something. So these two types of thoughts are there. Normally we have this. But in this case, there is no darshana, no adarshana. So neither he wants to see something or act on something, nor he is resisting to see, resisting to act. So because even resisting become a thought, the resisting itself become disturbance. It will also separate him from that oneness, the one consciousness. So there is no point of resisting. If it is there, he accepts it. If it is not there, it doesn't make any difference. So that is the attitude of a real sadhaka. Even a real sadhaka will have this attitude. Of okay, if it is coming, that's fine. And if it is not coming, he is not disturbed. So the actual detachment is this. If you don't have objects, you will be detached to it. If those objects are flowing towards you, it's very difficult to detach from those. But he will not resist even that. So if it is there, it's okay. Otherwise, okay. Both are same. So darshana darshane hitva. So even this duality of darshana and adarshana, knowing and not knowing, accepting and not accepting. Because not accepting is also a problem. If there is something to accept, something to see, something to act on, if you resist, if you try to avoid that, you need to put an extra effort to stop it. So here he is not doing that because he is not going to disturb with that. So therefore, both the darshana darshane hitva yes tishtadi satu brahman brahma na brahmavit. Again he is repeating that. So who remains in this stage, he is not Brahmajnani, but he is Brahman himself. So yes tishtadi sadhu Brahman Brahma na Brahmavid swayam. He is not a knower of Brahman, but Brahman himself, the Brahman itself. So that is how we have to consider him as Brahman. So we can have this experience with the manana of this chapter, this Panchadashi discussion. So you already experienced that, how deeply Vidyaranya Mahaswamiji has discussed this, all his experience with Shastra and other sadhanas. So if we could practice those, think about these points, that is going to be a big experience in us. So that is what we call it as realization or liberation or whatever. So now the last shloka, concluding shloka, Jivanmukti parakashtha jiva dvaita vivarjanat labhyate savatotredam ishadvaitat vivechitam. So in this conclusion, Vidyaranya Mahaswamiji is bringing that he has discussed Jiva Srishti and Ishvara Srishti here to take you up to the level of, up to the stage of Jivanmukti. So with the Jiva Srishti and Ishvara Srishti Manana, contemplating on Jiva Srishti and Ishvara Srishti, you will be experiencing the Jivanmukti. That's what he says. So Jivanmuktehe parakashtha Jivadvaita Vivarjanat. Jivadvaita Vivarjanat. Jivadvaita means Jiva Srishti. The elimination of Jiva Srishti, Vivarjana. The elimination of Jiva Srishti, one can finally step into the stage of Jivanmukti. The final stage of Jivanmukti. Parakashta. The ultimate stage of Jivan. So by this experience, by this practice. So here, if you want to separate Jiva Srishti and Ishvara Srishti, this is the chapter where we discuss Jiva Srishti and Ishvara Srishti. Because we cannot do anything with Ishvara Srishti. We can only do something with Jiva Srishti. So Jiva Srishti in our hands that we have discussed before, Ishvara Srishti cannot be changed. There is no chance of doing any change, bringing any change in Ishvara Srishti. It's impossible. And here, the Jiva Srishti, because Jiva Srishti is our own Srishti, therefore, we are able to change it whenever we want. All the habits we can change. We can change our mind. We can change our vasanas. Everything we can change. So therefore, it is quite clear that the elimination of Vivarjana, elimination of this Jiva Srishti, labhyade asau atra idam isha dvaidat vivechitam. So, with that practice, one can experience the stage of Jivanmukti. So, we have discussed that in this total setup of God's creation. So, whatever God has created. So, in that God's creation, God's setup, nobody own anything. We are nobody own anything because the owner of this Srishti, the controller of this Srishti is Ishvara. But from our side, we create some attachments or we create some connection with all these objects, the objects around us. But really speaking, in God's creation, you cannot own anything as yours because there is no personality or individuality in God's creation. In God's creation, it is universal. It's for everybody. So neither there is an owner nor there is an object. The object and ownership is not there in Ishvara's creation. So you can see that where we talk about all this separation, that is Jiva Srishti, it is not Ishvara Srishti. So this is the stage of universal oneness. We call it as Advaita Jnanam. Oneness, universal oneness. The oneness of consciousness, oneness of subjectivity, oneness of stability, the ultimate stability. That is Kevala Rupataha, Brahmasthitihi. Whatever we want to call, we can call it. So as I said, when you remove all these different types of consciousness, there remains only one consciousness, as there remains one light which illumines all the objects outside. So this is the conclusion of this chapter. So in last shloka, Vidyaranya Muni says why he took up this Jiva Srishti and Ishvara Srishti in this chapter, because he thinks that it could really help you to understand your mistakes. Jivan Srishti. What is my mistake? What is wrong with me? What is wrong with my understanding? So therefore, he took this subject and discussed it elaborately. So in this chapter, we completed 69 shlokas. It was a good section with all this discussion of Jiva Srishti and Ishvara Srishti. It went on beautiful. Now, the next chapter, the last chapter of Tattva Viveka, we will discuss the 4 Mahavakyas. The meaning of 4 Mahavakya in short, because the next chapter has only 8 shlokas. So each Mahavakya like 2 shlokas. So Tattvamasi Aham Brahmasmi Prajnanam Brahma Ayam Atma Brahma. 4 Mahavakyas from 4 Vedas. There also you will get the summary of this Vedanta, summary of this experience. So we can continue with that. Now, your duty, your homework is to revise this chapter, particularly this Jiva Srishti and Ishvara Srishti concept of the chapter. Because the other point we had already discussed in previous chapters also, and will also there in forthcoming chapters. But in this chapter, this is a special point, Jiva Srishti and Ishvara Srishti. Now, as a test, you can write on this what you understood about Jiva Srishti and Ishvara Srishti. And after listening to these lectures, what is your experience? Is this Ishvara Srishti, Jiva Srishti discussion changed something in your lives? Changed some clear some confusion or whatever your experience? So you write freely, openly on that. So the others will be inspired that, and we could get more practical experience of this Jiva Srishti and Ishvara Srishti. The subject is very clear, and it is discussed in detail. So so long you have listened to this, so there will be some experience, some reflection. So you write your reflections on Jiva Srishti and Ishvara Srishti and send to the admins, or no, personally or whatever way. If you want to send to me also you can send. But that's the homework of this chapter. Then we will continue with the next chapter. Okay. If you want anything, you want to ask anything, over to you for the questions. Harihi Om.
Arun Babu, would you please unmute yourself and ask?
Namaste and Hari Om Swamiji. In our journey of the spiritual studies, all the spiritual text, everything, whatever we learned so far, totally was based on the Advaita Vedanta philosophy.
Yeah.
So this chapter, we focused as a Dvaita approach. So the question or just a clarification is, so finally we are ending at Advaita. So here also it is only a method to say that, okay, as a Jiva Srishti, as a Dvaita is coming only for understanding. And is there anything exist as, Dvaita Vedanta? So finally it has to be always Advaita Vedanta only, right? Is there any Dvaita Vedanta, or only it is in the Marga or in the path we are bringing the Dvaita part?
You see, in last chapters, you have seen like Panchabhuta Prakarana and Panchakosha Prakarana. So the names are given no, for the sake of understanding. It's not what is actually discussed there, or it is something established. What is something? What is established there? So the discussion here in Dvaita Viveka Prakarana is Dvaita. The meaning of this Dvaita is Ishvara Srishti and Jiva Srishti. Because now this is separated. And in Ishvara Srishti, we see many forms, many names and forms. So of course, those forms are Dvaita only, duality only. So this is the idea here. But in the beginning of the chapter and the end of the chapter, the conclusion, as you see, the Advaita never misses. There is no missing of Advaita. It's always there. But the special case uh, took here for the discussion is the Ishvara Srishti and Jiva Srishti. Now we want to separate Ishvara Srishti and Jiva Srishti and see, and then how we can change Jiva Srishti, that is the sadhana. Therefore, this chapter is called Dvaita Viveka Prakaranam.
So there cannot be any term like Dvaita Vedanta, right? It has to be
No, no,
always
no.
Advaita.
Dvaita, there is Dvaita Vedanta, they all call it as Dvaita Vedanta. Vedanta as a subject of school of thought, it can be called in many ways. Vishishta Advaitam and Vishishta Advaita Vedanta, and no, they are all called as the subject as Vedanta only. So if they want to call it Dvaita Vedanta, it's also possible. There is nothing wrong with that. But we have to see the subject discussed. We cannot say only Advaita is Vedanta. It's not right. Advaita is also Vedanta. If they believe in Dvaita, they can also call it Vedanta, because Vedanta means Upanishads. So if they take up Upanishads and discuss on that with their view of Dvaita, it's possible. They do that. There is no problem with that. So that word can be used.
Swamiji, next question is from Arzu. Would you please unmute and ask your question?
Hari Om, Swamiji, I'm a little confused with when it comes to desire, action, taking action, and achievement of goals, because when I was listening, it's mainly coming from the last class. When I was listening about um, Krishna and I'm sorry, Arjuna or Rama wanting to, renounce and leave, but then they had actions to take. So when we talk about not having any desires and accepting and basically not trying, whatever comes we accept, then where is the fine line between accepting and then just not trying at all, like Arjuna, like not wanting to do, or um just saying okay, this is it, and accepting it, versus trying again and wanting to achieve your goals. And also I remember I in the class, um as I remember, it was mentioned that not visualizing, not dreaming about things that we want to we desire. So if we don't do that, then how can we manifest? So I'm
Yeah, it's right. This is the question asked in the last session of class. The questioner he is asking that is that if that's okay if nothing wrong, if we can do some imagination, we can do some research. What is the problem with that? That was the question asked. Now, the desires are there according to the system or the practice of life. You see, the same Bhagavan in Bhagavad Gita, he himself says, Dharma viruddho kamosmi bharadashapa. So what he says, the desires which should be there, which is according to the Shastra, according to the custom or practice, those desires are there. Those desires are in my own, no, what to say, it is my swarupa. I am that desire. So he say, kamosmi. So it's not different from me. It means he blesses with that desires. So those desires are his blessings. So we can take those desires and do it. That normally, if you want, when we lead a life, we need to desire things. We need to get things done. For that, we have to practice. So that is not denied. Here, when one wants to take up sadhana, meditation and sadhana, in those cases, if he goes after desires and he wants to fulfill those desires, it is not possible. He cannot sit in one place and achieve all desires. If he wants to achieve desires, he has to go. And when we are in a, no, when we take when a sadhaka is in his grahastha or he is in a family life or helping others or living with his parents and he wants to help his parents, in those conditions he has to earn, and whatever he needs to do for that, it is there in Shastra. We should do that. So those desires are Bhagavan's, Ishvara's blessings. So in Bhagavad Gita, he himself says. But the attachment, where we call it as attachment, so there is some difference between desires and attachment. Desires are we need to desire something and do it. But attachment is something different. So that attachment makes some bondage. So this is the meaning of discussion where we quoted from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Kama Sanjayate Krodha, Krodhat Bhavati Sammoha, and all those, it is there. So therefore, desires are not a bondage if they are according to the work, no, followed by Shastras or connected by with your sadhanas. So this just to understand what is right, what is wrong, and where the attachment takes you out of the way, and then you have all the problems. So the problems are from those attachments. Actually, it's not from desires. So desire in those in that way, desires are normal. So this is what is there. Therefore, in every chapter of Gita, Bhagavan says you go and do your duties. So that for your fulfilling the duties, one has to desire accordingly. And without desire, how Arjun can conduct that war and kill his enemies? It's not possible. So that desire is according to the Shastra, because it is good for you. It is part of your sadhana. If you want to overcome all these problems and remove all, and you want to uh, experience moksha, so you practice this. That is why he said karmaneva adhikaraste ma phaleshu katadana, and all those things. So therefore it is not prohibited, it can be practiced.
Yes, Swamiji. Thank you so much. I just wanted to also, I remembered Swamiji talked about emotions, but we never discussed it, I think. Is this something that is going to come up in the next chapter?
Yeah, emotions are always a problem, but we will again discuss, because we have so many discussion now, so it will come again, definitely.
Okay. Thank you, Swamiji.
Swamiji, next
Thank
question
you,
is from Swamiji. Next question, Dr. Kamalaji. Would you please mute?
Pranam Swamiji.
Mm.
It just reminds me the third line of the last shloka of Manisha Panchagam. Sugam Bhuti Galidadhe Brahmaivana Brahmavid.
Yes.
That is.
In many places it is repeated. Actually, this is from Upanishad, because in Mundaka Upanishad, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Katha Upanishad, in many Upanishad, they say this this sentence is quoted from there.
Swamiji, next question is from Vandana ji. Would you please unmute?
Yes.
Hari Om Swamiji.
Yes.
Swamiji, I was confused at that one point where you said that the Samadhi, as in Yoga Sutra, Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, is really not Vedantic Samadhi. But then again, Vidyaran Mahaswami says over here that for getting the Brahmakara Vritti and Brahmagyana, the steps are that you go from Savikalpa Samadhi to Nirvikalpa Samadhi. And isn't that part of Yoga Sutra only?
You see, that I have mentioned this point. I think it was there in first chapter itself. The difference between it is there in Panchadasi itself. The difference between Yoga Sutra Samadhi and Vedantic Samadhi, where Savikalpa and Nirvikalpa, these steps are concerned. That is, of course, it is there everywhere, because Savikalpa that Savitarka, Savichara, Nirvichara, these are the steps gradually removes the object. So you start with an object where the Savitarka, Nirvitarka is there. And it then is changed into subtle form and then into formless. So in Asamprajnata Samadhi, where there is no vikalpas, so we call it as nirvikalpa or nirbija samadhi, there it's completely thoughtlessness. It means there is no thought process, nothing seen, experienced there. That is chittavritti nirodha. But Vedantic Samadhi, what we call it as Ekagrata Samadhi or even Nirvikalpa Samadhi, that is the one thought of Brahman, the experience of Brahman. Because in the first chapter, there is a shloka directly discussing this, where he says, if you are not getting a thought, if there is no thought in that stage of samadhi, how can one remember the samadhi? If there is no samadhi though there is no thought in that samadhi, how can you remember the samadhi? I can refer you the shloka of first chapter. You can read this. The the 50 first chapter, first 55, 56, 57. So you see all these three shlokas of Panchadasi chapter 1.
Okay.
Yeah, it is clearly said there. What I was saying, what I was mentioning from there only, because this is the textbook where these things are discussed in Vedanta, because that is a speciality of Panchadashi. Because these subtle points of differences are discussed here. There you see in 50 Sloka 56, he says, Vrittayastu tadanim ajnadapya atmagocharaha smaranad anumiyante vyuthidasya samuthitat vrittinam anuvrittistu prayatnat prathamadapi adrishtad agrita abhyasat samskara sajivat bhavet. So though in samadhi there is no subjective cognition of the mental function having the self as its object, but it is continued the existence, the state, as we have to infer by the recollection. If there is no thought of, not experience of samadhi, of Atma, how we could recollect that? So therefore we have to infer there is a thought. So that thought is considered in Vedantic Samadhi. But in Asamprajnada, of course, Asamprajnada, they don't say any thought like that, because that is the big difference between Asamprajnada Samadhi of Patanjala Yoga Darshana and our Samadhi, the Vedantic Samadhi, what we have discussed. And the Shloka 56 also continues with that. So you can just refer those, it will be clear.
Thank you, Swamiji. Thank you. Hari Om.
Swamiji, there's a question on the chat board from Radhika ji. Is Jivanmukti moksha on earth?
Yes. Jivanmukti can be called moksha on earth.
Thank you, Swamiji. There's next question is Sharadha ji. Would you like to ask a question? Please unmute. I don't. Sharada ji.
Hello. Are you hearing? Namaste.
Yes, please
Gurudev,
continue. Yeah.
I'm new to this usage of this. That's why
Okay, then. No problem. I can ask.
I'm asking Jiva Srishti, if it is made zero,
Ah,
then
yes.
one becomes Brahmaiva Bhavati.
Yeah.
So every being, if everyone becomes Brahman,
Ah,
infinite Janma will come because Nastikas are there.
ah,
And plants, so many things are there. Plants
ah,
and insects and so many
ah,
beings are there.
ah,
In order to get a Jiva Srishti is Sunyam.
ah,
It may take infinite number of yugas.
ah.
So it is unimaginable to think that the whole everything Brahman Aikyam, how when that will happen, we can't imagine.
Yeah, so that is true. It is unimaginable. Therefore, logically, first we have to logically understand how these logic are opened and put for this no contemplation. So that is very important. And without that logic, this concept of oneness cannot be understood. That is the first point. The
Ah,
second point is, as Jiva Srishti discussed in this chapter, again, once again, you can go through that. It is not mentioning that one Jiva, like one person, you or me, is not creating all these Jivas.
ah,
I am creating my Jiva Srishti.
mm,
You are creating your Jiva Srishti. So
ah,
you can only dissolve your Jiva Srishti, not my Jiva Srishti.
ah,
So I could resolve my Jiva Srishti, not yours Jiva Srishti. So
mm,
therefore, when you get into this sadhana,
mm,
you are able to understand your problems, your Srishti, whatever you did
mm,
right or wrong, and
mm,
understand it and
mm,
resolve it.
mm,
Resolve it.
mm,
That is what is meant here. That is
ah,
also by knowledge, because by ignorance you created it. Now,
ah,
by knowledge, you are going to dissolve it.
ah,
So, there is no connection, actual connection with your Jiva Srishti and your son's Jiva Srishti and daughter's Jiva Srishti or
mm,
your father's Jiva Srishti or your friend's Jiva Srishti. There is no
ah,
direct connection with that,
mm,
because each person has his own Srishti,
mm,
or in some point, if we have some relation, some discussion, some conversation each other,
mm,
we
mm,
may have some similar no thoughts and similar srishti effects, but it
mm,
doesn't mean
mm,
that srishti is going to change.
mm,
Therefore, as human beings, what we have done, we have to
mm,
resolve it.
mm,
And this what other mosquitoes or on other insects, whatever,
mm,
their their problem is they don't have that intellect to understand these things. So they
mm.
have to take uh, human
Janmat.
birth. Yeah,
Mm,
otherwise no
mm,
chance for them
mm,
to
mm,
resolve this.
mm,
So therefore, there
mm,
is no question of resolving their problem by our problems.
mm,
Yeah, it's interesting that way. And
mm,
the same question is asked by an opponent
mm.
directly to Bhagavad Pada Shankaracharya in Gita Bhashya.
Ah,
He
ah,
says, if
mm,
everybody gets Brahma Jnana, what would happen to this world? Nobody
mm,
will be there as Jivas. What would
mm,
happen? There
mm,
he says
mm,
to the opponent,
mm,
Bhagavad Pada Shankaracharya say, you don't worry, it will not
mm,
happen.
mm,
Only few will try to get this knowledge out
mm,
of crowds and crowds. So
mm,
therefore, the Srishti will remain as it, and
mm,
all the problems and everything will remain.
mm,
Whoever gets this knowledge,
mm,
that person will be liberated. That's all. He is
Hmm.
not, he cannot give liberation to others.
Hmm.
Even God cannot give liberation to others. So
Hmm.
liberation is one's own experience. It's very
Hmm.
personal.
Hmm.
So there is no giving and taking of this experience. So a very good question. You have asked a practical question. Thank you for asking. Okay.
Hari Om. Hari Om,
Hari
Swami.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
No more questions, Swamiji.
Okay, thank you. So we conclude with this. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudashyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Shrudismriti-Purananamalayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmedi Murti Bheda Vibhagine व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओम् ओम नमो नारायण ओम